In this video, we're going to show you how to install the transmission mount on your Hyundai Elantra located underneath your battery tray. Using a 21mm socket, loosen and remove your lug nuts. Remove your wheel and set it aside. With the hood open, you're going to go ahead and locate the battery right here on the driver's side. Disconnect to the ground terminal. There's a 10mm nut. Loosen that. Go ahead and give that terminal a little wiggle and then pull up on it. On this side here, you're going to locate the positive terminal cover. You're going to push it on this little tab, flip that forward, and then go ahead and access the 10mm nut right here. With that loose, you're going to go ahead and grab the whole box here, lift that up and off. Go ahead and tuck that aside. I want to go ahead and remove the brace right here. This is a 10mm nut right here. Remove that nut, set that aside. And if you follow the bracket over and right down between the air filter box and the battery, there's another 10mm bolt right down here. Go ahead and lift up with that and set that aside. And if your battery has a handle like ours does, you want to go ahead and grab that and lift straight up on that battery. If you don't have the handle, simply reach around the side here on both sides and lift up and remove it. Now with the hood open, go ahead and locate your air intake tube. We're going to use our pocket screwdriver to go ahead and pop out the two retainer buttons here. You're going to gently push in on the center. That'll unlock the button, and then just get underneath here and lift it up and out. Now you want to go ahead and reset these here before you install them. You simply push in on the bottom and it pushes that button up through the top. I'm going to do that for both of these. Once you have those out, you're going to go ahead and take that air intake tube, pull it back towards the engine, lift it up, and then pull it up out of the engine bay. That'll separate the lower portion from the air tube down below. Go ahead and set that aside. You can use a 10mm socket or a Phillips head screwdriver. You want to go ahead and loosen the hose clamp here. Once you have this loose, I'm going to go ahead and come over to the other side of the box and want to go ahead and release our cap clips. Push that one out, and there's one on the back side. Once you have those disconnected, lift up on the lid and separate this. We now want to remove the lower portion of our air box. It's going to be three 10mm bolts. We're going to start with this one here. There's one down on the front here. And then there's one over here. Now this bolt here holds down the air lid box as well as the battery tray. With that third bolt removed, should be able to wiggle this up and out. And we'll remove it from the vehicle and set it aside. Now right on the front portion of our battery tray, there's going to be a retainer here for the wiring harness. I'm just going to use a pair of pliers and I'm going to pinch these tabs in. Push that harness out. And then right up here is a 10mm bolt. We're going to loosen and remove that. That'll allow us to move that wiring harness out of the way a little bit. And on the back side here, we have two 10mm bolts. Loosen and remove those. Pop those out, set them aside, And next we have two 12mm bolts. There's one here and one here we need to loosen and remove. So let's do that next. Set those aside. Now that we have these two out, there is one more on the back here. That's a 12mm. Let's go ahead and get that one. Now we have our floor jack set up underneath our vehicle. What we're going to do is gently support our transmission. We're not raising this here, but we have a block of wood on the head of the jack, and we have an aluminum transmission here, so you want to be careful. Just support it while we remove the transmission mount. With our transmission supported, we're going to loosen and remove three 14mm bolts. One here, one over here, and one up top. Now these bolts tend to be rusted a little bit, so what we're going to do is we're going to loosen these up a little, and then I'm going to spray some rust penetrant inside to run down along the threads. We'll let that soak for a few minutes, and then we'll come on back and zip those out. Now that we have our 3 bolts removed, there are 2 more bolts that come through horizontally, and you're going to access them through the driver's side fender well, and they come through the mount and out here. So what we're going to do next is there's a cover right here that is accessible through the driver's side fender liner. And we're going to go ahead and pop this cover out. You can use a pocket screwdriver or a flathead screwdriver. And we're just going to release the little tabs here, pushing them in, and that cover will probably fall out through that wheel well. Let's go ahead and access these 2 bolts. When we do this here, we do want to go ahead and jack up the transmission just a little bit more, and we're going to watch this. As I jack this up, we're going to see the mount shift a little bit. There it is right there. We can actually grab this and move it. So we want to take that pressure off so when we remove these bolts, things don't drop. So let's go ahead and remove those next. Now that we have our cover removed, we have access to our 14mm bolts right here. We can use our impact gun to loosen and remove these. Good, pull these out. Let's go back up into the engine bay and replace our mount. Go ahead and take that mount, remove it. With the mount removed, now's a good time to go ahead and clean everything up. Now we can go ahead and grab our new mount. Go ahead and drop that down into position. Go ahead and get your mount in place here. Now our other mount was worn, so right here the mount itself is high, so we're going to use our jack to go ahead and lift this up into position. Our next step is to go ahead and we're going to feed our bolts in through the fender well and into the mount itself, but we're going to come back up here and we're going to work this in because we're going to have to work the jack a little bit. to get those bolts to line up and come through. So what I'll do is I'll feed the bolts through and you'll see them come through. And then from the engine bay, what I'll be able to do is with one hand, I'll use my jack to raise this up, and we can see that that bolt just went in. Do the same thing on the bottom. The other one just went in. So what I'll do is I'll try and thread in the upper bolt, get that started. And that's feeling really good. I can tell that the threads are already in, and I can actually see the bolt coming through the other side. So I'll get that lower one started as well. All right, with both of these started, I'm gonna go into the fender well, and I'm gonna tighten these down here using my impact gun. You do wanna make sure that these are good and tight, but as I tighten this, you're gonna be able to watch the pin come through on the other side. Want to make sure that these are good and tight. Take your cap, and it's going to have the curved part that goes at the bottom. And just line that up and press it in. With our two bolts secured here, we're going to go ahead and raise up our transmission just a tad bit more. That's going to allow us to go ahead and move this around. Now I went ahead and I put a little bit of anti-seize compound on the threads here. And we're going to pull this mount over. Now if you can't hold that, you can always grab a pry bar. And push this over until that lines up. And get our bolt started. Make sure that all three of these are tight. Once we have all these secured and bottomed out and nice and tight, we're going to go ahead and lower our jack. You can see that transmission settle down into that mount, which is perfect. And then remove your jack and get that out of the way. Let's torque these down to 47 foot-pounds. We want to torque our two horizontal bolts. Now, even though we did go ahead and anchor those down through the wheel well area, we can go ahead and use our short or shallow 14 mil socket and give us some better leverage here. And we want to go ahead and torque this to 79 foot-pounds. Going to install your battery tray. All right, with these three started, we're going to go ahead and snug those down. making those snug. Push that through. And then we have our 3 bolts to install, 1 for the harness, and then 2 for the ECU. Let's go ahead and snug those down. So I want to go ahead and install our air filter base here, and we have the tube right here. It needs to mate up with this as we line it up. Now that we have it in place, I'm going to install our 3 bolts. And we'll snug those down. Install the lid. Now we have 2 tabs in the back here that actually interlock into the back side of the base. Make sure our clips are forward. Install the tube. Put those tabs in. And then snap over your clips. Let's go ahead and tighten down our clamp now using our Phillips head screwdriver or your 10mm socket. And you just want to make sure that it's good and snug. You don't have to keep on going. Just once you feel that that's good and sealed and you can see the clamp secured tightly up against the rubber tube, then you're good. Take your air intake tube and take this portion, feed it down into the lower ductwork. Slide this in place. Take your plastic push pins, insert that, and then press it in until it's flat. You're going to feel it and hear it clip into place. Do the same for this side. At this point here, you can now go ahead and install your battery. And lower that battery right down into that tray. I'm going to push that back. If yours has the handle on it, go ahead and secure that down on top. Good, line up your bracket. Now I'm going to leave the bolt installed here. Move that battery just a little bit. Secure that bolt. I'm going to slide the battery up against the bracket, and then I'm going to push this over and I'm going to install our nut. And you want to make sure that this bracket here is securing the top portion of the battery, so a mild adjustment might be needed as you do this. Once you get that nut started, go ahead and snug that down. Go ahead and grab that positive terminal. You can open that up and slide the terminal back onto the post. You want to make sure that that terminal is fully seated. And let's go ahead and snug down the nut. Once that's secure, go ahead and close the lid. Install the ground terminal. Push it down as far as it'll go and snug down the nut. Go ahead and grab your wheel. Good to line that up. I want to go ahead and get all of our lug nuts started by hand first. Once we get them all started, we're going to come back and snug them all down. Let's go ahead and torque down your lug nuts to 85 foot-pounds. You preferably want to do this in a crisscross pattern. And you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.